Hi, this is Jack Downs. I'm here to show you a little bit about how to dummy a page in this video for newspaper design and layout. We're going to actually not be dummying a whole page, just a single package, which is going to be a story and a photo. Okay, this is how it all starts. First of all, somebody's going to give you a list. This list only has one package on it, one item on it. It's called Super Dance, and it says it's 23 inches. That's the name of the story. Super Dance. It's a 23-inch story. And as a photo that goes with it, the photo is called teens.jpg. You'd likely actually get a long list of stories. Some things would be marked must, some things not. There'd be fillers, there'd be multiple stories and photos. You have to decide what was going to be the lead. In this case, this is our lead story. It's our only story. And put that note aside. Here's the photograph right here. This is a normal horizontal photo, really, of the stories about local girls who are going to be dancing in the Super Bowl halftime show. So we've already measured this. That's one thing you would do first is, of course, determine with your proportion wheel what are the possible shapes and sizes of this photo that you might use. And I've determined I'm going to use this as a 4-column. It's my dominant art on the page. Wouldn't want to use it smaller than a 4-column. I could use it as a 5 or even a 6. It's okay photo, I could do that. But we're going to say 4-column, and at that size, I've measured it, it's going to be a 4x5. So we've got a 4x5 horizontal and 23 inches of copy. You might think you start with that, but what we really start with is the folio. Now in your instructions about how to dummy, which you should look back at regularly as you're starting this stuff out, you have to account for the folio on top of the page. Folio is the name of the page, includes the date, often, and the name of the publication, and so on. And for our class, we're going to leave 1/2 inch for inside pages. This is an inside page. So I literally take my pencil and make a big dark line at about 1/2 inch from the top. And I'm going to, in red to make it a little more visible, right on here. Here, I could say folio. Maybe I'll actually give you the name. I'll call it community. And I could even give the size. This is an 18-point folio. You may already say 18 points, is that really 1/2 inch? Oh, don't worry about it. It's close enough. This is my version of dummying, is not to get exact to the point in the fraction of an inch, but to just get close to the 1/2 inch mark. Okay, well, we could do lots of things with this package. Somewhat constricted by the 4-column photo. I could definitely do a 4-column unit here in 4 columns with a photo on top, maybe with multiple headlines. That'd be nice, and then the story down below. But this time, I want to do a modular unit that wraps, so you can get that counting going. So I want you to, well, I'm going to do this, and maybe you can later, leave space for the headline. Well, if you look at your sheet, you're going to see the different amounts of space for different size headlines. This is the lead story at inside page. I wouldn't want to use a headline smaller than 48 point. Why? Well, I'll discuss this with you later. And by the way, we're not going to do 44 points or 50 points. It's 48 point. Or maybe we go up to 60. If this were page 1, we go to 60 or maybe up to 72. If it was a further inside page, a smaller page, or lower on the page, instead of 48, we might go down to 36. Eventually we get down to 30, down low on the page. These set points, I'll discuss those at a different time, or maybe I already have. And we could get exact with how much space for a 48-point head, but if you look at your list, we say for 48-point heads, we're going to leave an inch. Now, I don't actually have an inch mark here. I have to put 2 1/2 inches together to get my inch. Make another big dark line. Right? I have to describe the headline now to somebody, because just leaving an inch doesn't exactly give them all the information somebody needs. It's 6 columns, so I say 6-48 for the points, and hyphen, and I can put something else in here. There might be a code that represents, is it bold or unbold, regular in other words. I'm not going to put anything else in there right now though. So 648 is important instructions, and this would be a good place to put the name of the story. It's called Super Dance. Good. So we have our headline on there. We know how much space to leave for it. It's an approximate thing. So next we can put our photo in. Now, I told you 4x5. Plus, you should remember, sort of realize there's going to be a cut line there. Some people call it caption, but we call it cut line in newspaper talk, right? I'd like to keep my big art central to the page if I have enough story to wrap around it. Say I have 23 inches of story. So I'm going to imagine my 4 by 5 photograph. I have my ½ there, so that's 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, 5. A 5-inch photo will come to here. I'm going to leave a ½ inch for the caption. Now, I would have to look at my caption to see how long it really is. If it was very long, I might leave an inch. But the wider the photo, the captions tend to take up, of course, cut lines take up less depth. So a ½ inch on a 4-column photo is a pretty good size cut line. Before I do any more work here, I better make sure my story can wrap around this all the way. Because 23 inches is an okay size story, but it's not enormous. I'm going to start doing some counting around the photo for our copy. Just an estimate at this point. So I'm going to ignore this little ½ inch up here. I'm going to start with the first full inch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Oops, here's my other ½ inch, 17. Okay, 17 inches. I get around the photo with at least an inch. And there's more copy to come. Good, that's going to work. I'll come back to the copy in a minute. Let me continue marking in my photograph. I'm going to put my big dark line at the bottom of the cut line. And I'm going to mark the bottom of my photo. Big dark line. And I'm going to put an X in my photograph. Some people just put a single slash like this. That's okay also. I'm actually going to put an X. Okay. This is a good place for me to mark the size of the photo so there's no confusion. This is a 4 by 5. I don't have to put columns in inches. That's understood in newspaper talk. 4 number of columns wide, 5 number of inches deep. And a good place for me to put the name of my photographs, just so people get the right photo if somebody else is doing this page. Teens.jpg. Okay, so what about my copy now? Well, let's put the copy in. Now I know I have 23 inches, so I start my counting again, just like I did before. Forget that ½ inch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 with the 2 ½ inches, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Wow, it worked out exactly right. You may think that I cheated and picked a number and did this already that was going to make this work out, but I actually have not. That was just luck. Sometimes things just work out right. But if it didn't work out right, I would get to the nearest ½ inch. And if it was either or, my preference would be to make things a little loose, to leave a little extra space, rather than to leave not enough space. But I would just get within the ½ inch, whichever way I went. A little tight, a little loose. And whichever way I went, too, a little tight, a little loose, I keep that in my head as I continue down the rest of the page, realizing, yes, but things will probably fit because I left a little extra space there, or I better not try to stick something in there that's a little tight because I didn't leave enough extra space. Now, how do I indicate my copy? I have 2 pieces of copy to indicate here. I've indicated the copy for my cut line, indicate the copy for my story. First, let's look at the cut line. Right over here on the side, so you can see something. Cut lines and other things that are odd measure, cut lines usually are, unless it's a 1-column photograph, and sometimes copy is too. Things that aren't 1-column measure, we tend to indicate with a squiggle, right? Kind of like this, and maybe an arrow. But single column copy, we indicate with a line, perhaps with an arrow, or a leg that continues up and goes down again. So those are my 2 ways of indicating copy. So I'm going to indicate my Y copy in here. It's going to be a single stick over all these 4 columns. Single stick of copy. There's a difference between sticks and columns. So I'm going to go like that. It's not much of a squiggle, but there wasn't much room there. Did my best. And now I'm going to use my pencil, I suppose. For this, I'm going to indicate the single copy, stick, single column copy. With a line down here, it's as if I'm reading it. The I goes down and then comes back up in the next column, comes down, goes back up, comes down, goes back up, and so on. And it has to make a bit of a loop here at the top, and the I comes back down in the end, and we tend to put an arrow at the very bottom. Okay, that is all the instructions somebody needs to make that page, and if I'm just doing it myself, it would tell me that how things would fit, and I would know how much room I have to continue along. But as often happens, let's imagine there's been a change. I'm afraid changes happen to us all the time on pages. Now somebody says, hey, you got a 3-inch box to put in there more about how to watch a Super Bowl or something, I don't know what, or how to find this online. And you got a photograph to put in there too, another photo. It's going to be a half-column mugshot of the coach. So what's going to happen? Well, I know that the story is going to essentially get longer because we're going to have more obstacles in the type, right? So I'm going to erase that line there, yeah, as best as I can. I know I'm going to I have to put a box in place. Where will a box fit? I never want to disturb the intersection of headline and the start of the story. There must always be a connection here. It doesn't have to be from the main head. It could be a secondary head or something else. But I need to go from headline to start a story. There must always be a connection here. We sometimes break that connection in magazine layouts, but even then, if possible, I think this is an important thing to think about keeping. So our box is obviously going to have to go over here. 1.5 inch, 1.5, 2.5, 3. I'll erase this copy in here. I'm literally going to put this in probably a different color or a nice heavy box. Make a box to make it obvious it's something different. I'm going to call it box. It'll probably have a better name than that. Like a little, almost like a little headline. Put a little bit of copy in there with its own little arrow. Might have been other instructions on there about putting a screen on it, or what size rule to use around it, or other things like that I can put in there too. But that's how much space it will take up, we said. Plus, I've got a half-column mugshot to stick in the copy. Well, that I will actually leave a column, 1.5 inches over half a column. I'll put a little X there. There's no room to write a name there, so I'm going to put coach.jpg. If that's the name of the photo that somebody has to go find. But now I know that my 23 inches doesn't come to here anymore. It's going to come further down someplace, right? Well, how much further down? Let's find out. I have to leave, in your instructions, you'll see for a half-column mugshot, a mug inset in the copy, I'm going to have to add an inch. So now I have 24 inches. And I have to go redo my counting. Again, I won't count this one. I don't have to count anything different here. I've already counted for it in 24 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's my half. 14 when I add it to this one. At this level, we have 14. Okay, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. At this level, I have 20. So my choice is going to be, I'm going up to 24 now. If I go ½ inches along here, it's only going to be 23. Right? Sorry, not there, down here. ½ inches along here, it's only going to be 23. Because this was to 20. This would be an inch, an inch if I only count ½ inches. So it's going to be a little bit tight. I'm trying to leave room for 24. However, if I go down to the next half mark, okay, that's going to be 26. I'm going to be 2 inches over. That's probably quite a bit. So I'm going to make it just a little bit tight. Okay, an inch tight. I have to keep that in my head as I go down the page. So that's where it's going to go to the 9.5 inch mark. Redraw my lines. A little messy, but it's okay. Now it comes up to here and down to there. And that is my dummy accounting for the box and the half-column mug.